Hi, I'm Nathan. I love to optimize health, mindset, dopamine stimulation, and utilize business systems to grow businesses fast. Hey guys, it is Nathan back with another awesome episode where we explore quick to use strategies for growing businesses, whether it be through optimizing health, optimizing mindset, or just outright straight business strategies. And I've got an awesome guest with me today who's also a business partner. G'day, James Bailey. How are you, mate?
G'day, mate. How are we?
Very good.
Day for it.
What's that?
Awesome day for it.
An awesome day for it. Exactly. You worked that in already. Nice one, buddy. Hey, so today we were just chatting before offline and talking about businesses and growing businesses and all the things that we love to do that we talk about 24/7 about how we can grow businesses and grow them faster. And we chat this stuff all day, every day together when we're not working, or even when we are working, right? So we love
probably
this area.
Too often.
yes. So yeah, I don't know really. I don't think you or I understand balance in life, do we? We just the scale's definitely tipped towards business, but that's what we love and that's what we do 24/7. So we were chatting about building businesses from scratch and putting together a network, right? We're talking about putting together a community that we can have other people involved in, come in, and we just all work together and throw ideas so that we're not the only ones bouncing off each other. You know, we have a whole group of people bouncing off each other who are equally crazy as us, to basically help each other grow businesses together. And that then sidetracked to joint ventures, because what we want to do is really create a business structure that we can help each other's with joint ventures, because I love joint ventures, right? You've done joint ventures in the past, and they're just a super successful way of growing business really quick, right?
Yeah, so joint ventures can be a benefit for both parties, as long as it works for both parties. And a joint venture can't be one-sided, because in the end, you're just selling your products, and somebody else is then using it. So as I was saying to you, at the very least, the easiest joint venture is, for example, me providing a letter to your clients, okay? And it's going to be written in a way where you are addressing your clients, and it's not going to have anything to do with me other than the name of my business and what I can do for your clients. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so just to backtrack one step first, just let's go a little bit more into the detail about joint ventures, because I want you to talk about this this voucher idea that we were talking about offline, because it's really cool. But just to backtrack, so a few factors to consider when you're doing a joint venture. It's got to be equally mutually beneficial. That is the key to, like you touched on before, can't just be one-sided. You've got to create massive value for both parties involved. So it's not just a sales pitch from one to the other. It's how can both parties with both networks of consumers or customers come together and create an amazing communal outcome, right?
Yeah. So that's the key, is the benefit to each other, and whether that's a hairdresser benefiting from somebody that sells, say, dressing downs, or vice versa. In that sense, for us hairdressers, probably won't help us.
You'll need more than a hairdresser to fix us.
Well, I mean, if they're doing a bald cut, then maybe.
Excellent. So yeah, we'll have to find a better voucher than a standard one with a hairdresser. But yeah, so it's those communities, those databases, and it is such a phenomenal way of growing your business super fast overnight.
It's all about tapping into another business's database, and that's your joint venture, is tapping into their database to become your part of your database as well.
And that, to define that, that's going to be a non-competitive database. So it's got to be a non-competitive database. You don't want to be going to a competitor and trying to work with them. You want to be, unless there's a unique angle, and you've got to get creative there.
Well, yeah, I mean, I have done it with competitors but I've been in a removals game in that side of things where I couldn't necessarily provide something, but the competitor could. So it has to be a very unique situation if you're going to go to your competitor to provide a joint venture in that sense. In a lot of business owners don't want to have anything to do with their competitor because, let's face it, we're all in business and we want to beat our competitors.
We want to dominate, don't we? Absolutely.
We certainly want to dominate.
Yeah. So there's so many different examples of joint ventures, and it's a creative game. And that's why I love doing joint ventures, because you can come up with some really cool, unique angles that can just grow a business overnight, just tapping into a massive database that's a non-competitive database that you can bring something to the equation, to the party, to the relationship that that customer or that other business on its own couldn't do without you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we think about it, when we think about joint ventures, a lot of big businesses are already doing this with promotions of, for example, something caught my eye the other day. I was walking past in a shopping center, and it was an Oreos brand.
Yes, I've seen
Oreos and branded by Gomez. And I don't know why it caught my eye. I can't eat them anyway. But it caught my eye. And that kind of joint venture has been happening for decades in big business. But when it comes to small business owners, they tend not to think about joint ventures because they think it's more of a competitive nature instead of a joint nature.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I don't think small businesses have the bandwidth sometimes to think about that, but it's the best way of growing your business overnight. You've got to look for, one of the key things with joint ventures is really looking for businesses that have your target market, but that aren't providing your product. So, for example, let's give some examples. McDonald's often do joint ventures with movie studios, right? So the end target is kids wanting entertainment. And so they've done many cross promotions with Walt Disney over the years and different movie studios, because it's that demographic that they're looking for. BMW and high-end car dealerships often do joint ventures with, say, food or cosmetic companies that also, so again, exactly the same demographic. It's a high disposable income type of clientele that they're targeting.
Here's another one, and something that I learned from a business network. A photographer used to love doing joint ventures with any business out there providing a free photo to their clientele.
Yep. And so what is
providing a free photo?
And what does that do then? What does that do do you want to explain for the photography company?
Well, for the photography company, one, it gets them in to their studio providing a free photo. But quite often when you're in a photography studio, you're not going to just take one photo. So they're not going to just take one photo. You're probably going to be there for at least half an hour taking 3 or 4 different photos. You might even take the full family in. And let's face it, at the end of the day, you're probably not just going to walk out of there with one photo, because you're probably going to have something that's not branded with the company's logo or something like that on there that you'll purchase. So he's turned a free photo into $300-400. in his pocket that he probably wouldn't have.
That's exactly right. And if it was you or I in that photo studio, then obviously we'd probably be there for a good 5 hours getting, all the best
3 times
shots.
the photo price.
One of the opportunities with, the main goals with joint ventures is to tap into a new non-competing database of people, expose yourself in a professional way, expose yourself to those sort of clientele, and upsell your services, and then they can come onto your database, and then you do that with the next company. So you're feeding clients into the top of your funnel. You're getting it's a lead generation strategy. You may choose to do it as a lost leader. So a lot of joint ventures have done based on value proposition, where you say to your joint venture party, say, okay, hairdressers, and this is one we were talking about that I think you should explain a bit further before we were on camera, but it was hairdressers, here's the voucher, why don't you send people down to our store, Tommy Sugo, we've got pasta and arancinis, get a free arancini. And on face value, you might say, oh, that's a waste of money. How are you going to make money? You're giving product away. But tell us about that, James, and the idea.
Yeah, well, I mean, for us in the food industry, it might be a little bit different, but for something that it might be, say, a dressing down or a fashion store that might have some stock going, last year's stock or something, and they want to move on. So maybe they haven't sold that stock over the past season, and they want to start moving that stock on. So what you might say is, we picked out a nice shirt or a nice dressing down for you. When I'm not sure about your size, so here's a voucher. Go down and see them and pick up your new clothes. While you're there, you're probably going to try on 3 or 4 different pieces of clothing. And let's face, do you remember the other old saying when about a guy selling shoes? No. So he would always bring 2 pairs out of shoes, okay, regardless of whether you liked one or not, and you would try one on. And he would say, okay, well, which one do you like? Which one you don't like? And you might say, well, I want to try that one on the shelf as well. And what he would say to them then is, well, which one would you like me to take away? Because having 2 choices is better than 3, because they've already said no to one and they'll move on to the next one. So you're most likely going to have 2 dressing downs or 2 pieces of clothing there. And who knows? Let's face it, you might end up buying both of them. You might get the one free, and you might buy the other one there while you're there.
Exactly. So it's just a question of your numbers, looking at your numbers. So if it's a lost leader, if you're doing it at a lower cost and adding additional value to your collaborative partners' clientele, so say you offer a very strong discount, it's got to be, with any of the offers, it's got to be a really strong offer. If you give a really lame ass, lukewarm, here's 5% discount or here's 10% discount, expect for the joint venture to flop, because it's not going to work. So you want to do something that gives massive value. It's a no-brainer, and when you're structuring that offer, it's got to be easy to say yes and hard to say no to. So it just becomes irresistible. And it, as I say, it could be that lost leader. It could be something that you're discounting significantly, running it at cost price. You never want to do it completely under, we don't really ideally want to do anything that you're going to lose money in. If you're doing that, you want to do it for a very limited short period of time, have a limited amount of offerings that are going out, because you want to test and measure to see what your upskill structure is like and how effective you are. You want to have that plan in place to recoup claw back some additional money sales wise.
But even if I provided a letter to your client saying I'm going to offer you a free dressing down or t-shirt, I would expect probably 70% of people would actually buy something else on top of that. You might get 30% coming in and getting the free t-shirt. But how many of those 100 people never show up? Yet you've already got the details of their contact in your database because you're the one that sent them the letter. So you can then retarget them with other things as well.
There is something you have to be a little bit careful of. A lot of people, when you're doing JVs, won't want to give you their database, but they'll be very happy to send a letter on your behalf. So you have to sort of play it by ear. And the other thing that you did say there was letter is, what you want to do is make it so easy for your joint venture / collaborated partner that they don't have to do any work. You say, here you go, guys, this is what we got. This is the package that dealing with us will make this JV completely hands-free. We've pre-written all the emails, we've designed the graphic media, we've done everything you need to do. Here, you send it or we'll send it. Generally, most joint venture partners will be a lot more comfortable if they send it so they control their database and there's no privacy issues. But either way, it's a fantastic way of reducing any of those roadblocks and just making it a very flowing process that the joint venture partner wouldn't say no.
And another angle is what I've been working with is a furniture store. So who sells lounges, dining tables here locally with us, and I'm offering them dinner. So anyone that buys a dining table can come and see us for their dinner for the first night. Is another joint venture that a lot of businesses out there are not doing.
I love that. You get a dining table and food on top of it, right?
Yeah.
So it makes sense. It's very aligned.
Yeah, and that's what you want to have. Your joint ventures need to be aligned with what you're providing.
Yeah.
If it doesn't align, then sometimes it will be a big flop.
And the creativity is finding that link, because there's always alignment. You just have to really dig deep sometimes, because on the surface you may not think that a car and some lipstick is related, or you may not think that a table and food is, but obviously, I mean, that's one that is a little bit more obviously related, or a hairdresser and some free arancinis, or there's so many different ways of playing it. And I think the creativity and the fun, I love the creativity side of joint ventures, where you can put them together and you go, that doesn't belong with that, but how can we make those come together?
Yeah. And sometimes that creativity can be lost in small businesses, because new business owners or small business owners have so many other hats that they're wearing that they forget to think about a joint venture, which is going to benefit them in the long term or even short term.
And that's talking about small businesses. I think joint ventures are just perfect because they don't cost you a cent if it's structured right, and you must structure them right, because otherwise you're going to be losing money if you're giving away too much. But the trick is to pile on the value without the cost. So to get creative again, it's like asking that question, well, what additional stuff? Is it a digital product that I could add to it, or can I get the supplier to contribute some, offset some costs? So there's so many different ways of scaling it without the risk, but you want to, whatever your offer is when you're offering it to as a small business, or any business for that matter, the key thing is really to focus on how do we create an offer that is infinitely scalable, that once successful, when I'm joint venturing with a partner, we can sell tens of thousands of units to that partner. And then when I go to the next partner, I can do the same, and I can repeat that 100,000 times. It doesn't matter. It's never, ever, ever going to cost me a cent. That is the ultimate JV to get to, where you can think creatively and come up with an offer that's hugely attractive, but really no cost, so that that's infinitely scalable. And then that you can just go out there to the marketplace and just find more and more joint venture parties and just go for gold. That's the key.
Key is what small business growing. And sometimes joint venture is the last thing that small business owners think about. And unfortunately, that's sometimes the downside of some small business, because that's where their money can be most successful.
Yeah, and I mean we've done tens of thousands of dollars in joint ventures over the years. One example of this is Tommy Sugo, our pasta business that we're both involved in, and so Tommy Sugo, we do lots of joint ventures with schools, clubs, and charities, and we do fundraising with them. So that's a great example of a joint venture where we will give the school, for example, a percentage of the sales. They take it out there and they sell it. So the benefit is that they're going to be raising money and getting money out of the sales. It's like an affiliate program. To us, the benefit is massive. So we make less money out of every sale. Sometimes we may even break even once we've factored in delivery charges, etc. But to us, we've got exposure to hundreds of school kids and families, which are our ideal target market. And then when we do a pop-up shop or a home delivery offering, in that area, they go, oh yeah, you supported our school. We've got great, warm, fuzzy feelings about you.
I see that every day when people come into the store and, our school did a fundraiser before and I actually never got anything, but everyone else raved about it. So I'm going to try some now. So awesome. It's awesome to hear that kind of things.
Yeah. So that's a brilliant fundraiser, and we can do 1,000 schools across WA, and it will never cost us money. We'll at least always break even. But the bigger picture is that the acquisition cost of that consumer is very, very minimal. It doesn't cost us really anything. We're breaking even, and then we're getting potentially the lifetime value of that client runs into hundreds, if not thousands of dollars over their lifetime. So joint ventures, they are the juice, as far as I'm concerned, for small businesses. They are absolutely awesome.
So let's make one thing here. We are both into joint ventures. So if you are listening to this podcast, make contact with us. Get in contact if you need some help with some joint ventures, or you want to have a joint venture with us.
Yep.
We've got a number of businesses going, and we're always looking for the next joint venture. So
absolutely, come and hang out with us. So we're starting every week weekly connections where we just help business owners get over the hurdles that they're facing for business growth, and we're creating a community where we will actually focus on creatively structuring joint ventures within the community. So there's lots of networking out there as we've discovered, but what we want to be is that conduit that brings businesses together, that actually puts sales through the till, and that actively sort of pursues the joint venture collaborative relationships and creatively connects people together.
And let's face it, if we're giving stuff to your clients are going to benefit, and they're going to remember you.
Correct. Yeah, that's the ultimate win-win, isn't it?
Yeah.
Excellente. Well, I think that's about all we have time for. I think that was a pretty power-packed little session there. I think if people take away even one thing from that and trial it out, you've got really nothing to lose if you structure it right, and a whole lot to gain. Excellent, mate. All right. We will connect again next week. Thanks, buddy.
All right. Have a good day.
That was awesome. Keep optimizing your health, mindset, and business. Be Bawsome and make business awesome.